welcome to this. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Work has gotten in the way, which sometimes it does, and my sleep schedule is all fucked up. So, but anyways, this is something I wanted to talk about it the other day, and I just haven't gotten around to it until now. So hopefully I can get around to it. But anyways, let's get started here. As the title says, Gina Morasca, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, is worth more than Gail Kim, according to TNA. Now, what exactly does that mean? For those of you that don't know who Gina is, she is a former winner of Survivor who was brought in by TNA to be a talent, and on top of that, she signed a deal with TNA, and she is making more money, and even though she doesn't even have a prominent role in the company yet, she's making more money than Gail Kim asked from TNA to stay in TNA when she left. For those of you that don't remember the whole thing, when Gail Kim left TNA, she really didn't want to leave, but she felt for financial reasons she had to. She went to TNA, she went to Dixie Carter in particular, apparently, according to the sites. She went to her and asked if they could work out a deal. And apparently, she asked for more money. She was turned down, and so here's what we got. However, this Gina chick is making more than what Gail Kim asked for. Now, this is a huge problem, in my opinion, and just shows kind of the stupidity on some levels that TNA has. Because, as I have said before, I firmly believe that Gail Kim was, I think you could arguably say, was the third or fourth, depending on where you want to put Sting, draw that TNA had when Gail Kim was there. You definitely had Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle. Those would be one or two, depending on where you want to put them. And then you had Gail Kim, and I would put Gail Kim there because of the fact that she was one of the bigger draws on TV, that's where, of course, TNA's been making most of their money as of recently has been on TV, and of course now they're doing house shows, and because they're doing house shows, now they're selling more merchandise because that's why you do house shows, which is what me and Jared Virus had said so long ago when people said, oh, TNA really doesn't need to do that many house shows, and we were like, yes, you do, because you make money from them, and now, they're doing it, and they're making money from them. That said, so yes, so they're paying this chick more than Gail Kim wanted to be paid, which to me is just stupidity and really just reeks of just, I just don't even know what to think. It really just boggles my mind that, and maybe their hands were forced, maybe Spike's parent company was the one that said, hey, we want you to bring this chick in, but really kind of just, I don't think it sends the right message. If this is true, this was reported by Dave Meltzer on one of their radio shows on Figure 4 Online, and it just really boggles my mind that this company would think this is a good idea, particularly since, and I know some people I've read on, if you go to TNA's page and you look at the video from Impact with her on it, some people have said, well, they did actually get some mainstream press from this. When has TNA and mainstream press ever worked? I want someone to name one time. And they have done stuff like this forever. This isn't like the first time they brought in somebody. It's not going to be the last time they brought in somebody. They're going to bring in Danny Bonaducci from the Partridge Family and from Celebrity Championship Wrestling as well for a Lockdown. We don't know if he's actually going to be on the pay-per-view yet, but we do know that he is going to be at the show, and he's going to wrestle, and apparently he's going to wrestle a TNA star, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Aren't you? I hope they put it on pay-per-view, because I'm sure the Philly crowd will just shit all over that. But, unless they pull a rabbit out of their hat, which, has happened with celebrities before, i.e. K-Fed and John Cena, which actually somehow wound up working beyond what most people thought would happen. But anyways, so yeah, so it just amazes me, and it makes me just really wonder about this company, about what this company thinks it should spend money on. on top of that, because I just do not get this. I don't get why, you know, maybe they just don't look at things, maybe because I'm not in the business, so I don't know, so maybe I'm not looking at the right things. But the numbers that we see and the numbers that we, you know, get, and from what we know, from what TNA does, you know, Gail Kim was definitely one of your top draws. No, not even, I'm not just talking for like women, I'm talking period, one of your top draws, and you basically let her go away. I would say, you know, her leaving was far worse than Christian leaving, because I wouldn't necessarily consider Christian a top draw, where I would consider Gail Kim a top draw for TNA. And to let her go, and then to bring in somebody, and then pay them more money than what Gail Kim was asking for, is just moronic to me. And, you know, it's stuff like this, and when I look at the product as well, and I see kind of the things they just keep doing, and not just the way they're doing things, the storylines that they're doing, kind of the way they're doing storylines, a lot of the same concepts, a lot of the same ideas that Vince Russo and the WCW crew in those last year and a half of WCW tried to do. It's a lot of the same things, and it didn't work. If anything, it drove the fans away. I know a lot of diehard WCW fans don't like hearing that. I know a lot of diehard WCW fans say, well, that's not what killed the company. What killed the company was AOL not wanting to be in the wrestling business and getting rid of it. And that's true, but because the company had gone downhill so bad because of all the stuff that had happened before and everything just finally coming to a head, they were able to get rid of it, and Vince McMahon was able to get it cheap. If AOL had wanted to get rid of WCW, and WCW was still somewhat strong, you're not going to tell me somebody wouldn't have came in and bought it. It wasn't Vince McMahon who got it for dirt cheap, and basically just for the video library. You know, somebody would have wanted to pick up that show, and or you know, at least Nitro or WCW, and stick it on television somewhere. Nobody wanted to do that, so people need to keep that in mind. And I can bring that up because I say this jokingly, but WWE may be actually shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to TNA, because it was announced that WCW or the WWE is going to release a rise and fall of WCW. A lot of fans have been asking for this, but apparently they are going to release one. Now the question is how good is it going to be? I think if you looked at if you've seen the Monday Night Wars DVD, you can pretty much, I would imagine we'll probably get something like that. I don't think we'll get something as good, not even close to as good as the rise and fall of ECW. Maybe we will. I would be happy with something as good as at least as the World Class DVD, as I think that was about as honest as WWE is ever going to be. Maybe a little better than the AWA DVD, which I think was still better than the Monday Night War DVD. But but no matter what, because if you've seen enough WWE DVDs and documentaries and those sort of things, and when they talk about WCW, particularly the last years of WCW, pretty much they talk about the same things, and they talk about the same types of things, and without a doubt, that part will probably be very accurate. The part that probably won't be very accurate is going to be, when Nitro was kicking the crap out of Raw. That's probably where you're going to get a lot of creative history and some revisionist history, I would imagine. However, if WWE does a very good job, particularly with, why it fell and what happened, and particularly the last couple years and all of that sort of thing, and then they do a really good job of it, and then someone shows that to Dixie Carter and says, look, this is what happened to WCW. Look at your product. Look how similar they are. Maybe this isn't a good thing. And then she starts asking questions, which apparently has been one of the problems from people who have been in the company, that they've said, is that she just doesn't ask enough questions. And starts asking Jeff, and starts asking Vince Russo, and starts asking, Dutch Mantel, just, well, none of this stuff worked in WCW. Why do you think it's going to work now? And if that changes, then WWE maybe shot themselves in the foot, because maybe magically TNA turns itself around, and the buy rates start going up, and they actually start putting on TV that I mean, the ratings have been better, but I don't think anyone would say the shows have been better. So and I think that I think when the shows are better, then the ratings will gradually get much better. And I don't think that's what we've seen. So, and particularly since I don't think anyone's really, I'm making this before, Destination X, and I don't think anyone is really all that excited to see Destination X, to be honest. I mean, there's one match on there I think people want to see, and it's pretty much guaranteed we're getting a screw job in the main event, so who wants to see that? But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk about it, because I just cannot believe that they're paying this woman more than what Gail Kim asked. Because to me, if Gail Kim had still been around, and I firmly believe that the Knockouts division would be far better than it is now. Would probably still be, it's still a ratings draw, but I think it would be even a stronger ratings draw, and I think would definitely be something that they could look at and go, okay, we need to copy more of what, we need to try to, it definitely would be something they could at least build the rest of the show around. Sounds odd building your show around, women's wrestling, but hey, whatever works, works. So there you go. But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that, because it's happened a couple days ago. I heard this, I guess, on the 11th, and just wanted to come on and kind of talk about it, because it just boggles my mind that if that's true, it just boggles my mind. But like I said, maybe the WWE is getting ready to shoot themselves in the foot, because if they do a really, really, I would say even an accurate job by WWE standards with the rise and fall of WCW, maybe they give a blueprint to WCW or to TNA to not what to do. To look, this is what you're doing. You need to stop doing this and do something else. And that would be very interesting and very kind of, there you go. But anyways, with that, I'm out. Have a good one. Later.